Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about three critical crises in the United States that have been raising alarms in recent years, yet aren't being discussed enough. These crises are growing so quietly that by the time we notice them, it might be too late. When we think of the American dream, what comes to mind? Freedom, opportunity, success stories. But the reality we're discussing today is very different from that. Millions of Americans are currently struggling with three major problems: a deep loneliness epidemic, drowning in a debt swamp, and experiencing a serious psychological disconnect. These aren't just statistics. These are real dramas being lived by real people. And here's what's surprising: solutions to these problems exist, but first we need to understand them completely. So let's dive deep into these three major crises together and, more importantly, explore the roadmap to solutions. Crisis number 1: the loneliness epidemic. The problem. Loneliness in America has reached epidemic proportions. And I'm not exaggerating when I use the word epidemic. In 2023, the U.S. Surgeon General officially declared loneliness a public health crisis, comparing its health impacts to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Let's look at the numbers. According to recent surveys, more than 60% of Americans report feeling lonely regularly. That's roughly 200 million people feeling isolated in one of the world's most connected countries. Young adults aged 18 to 25 are hit the hardest, with over 70% reporting significant feelings of loneliness. But here's the paradox: we live in the most connected era in human history. We have smartphones, social media, video calls, messaging apps. Yet we've never felt more alone. How did we get here? Real-life example number 1, Sarah's story. Let me tell you about Sarah, a 28-year-old marketing professional in New York City. She moved to the city 5 years ago for her dream job. She has 2,000 followers on Instagram, posts regularly about her exciting city life, and gets dozens of likes on every photo. But here's the reality: Sarah hasn't had a meaningful face-to-face conversation with anyone outside of work meetings in 3 weeks. She eats dinner alone every night, scrolling through her phone. Her weekends consist of binge-watching Netflix shows and occasionally meeting acquaintances for drinks, conversations that rarely go beyond surface-level small talk. Sarah represents millions of Americans who appear connected but feel profoundly isolated. The loneliness isn't about being physically alone, it's about lacking genuine human connection and feeling unseen by the world around you. Analysis: why is this crisis deepening? Several factors have converged to create this perfect storm of loneliness. 1. Digital displacement. Social media promised to bring us closer together but has instead replaced deep connections with shallow interactions. We've traded long phone calls for quick texts, dinner parties for Instagram stories, and genuine vulnerability for curated perfection. 2. Urbanization and mobility. Americans move more frequently than ever before, on average, every 11 years. This constant mobility prevents the formation of deep community roots. You can't build meaningful relationships when you're always preparing for the next move. 3. Work culture. The always-on work culture, remote work arrangements, while offering flexibility, and the gig economy have all contributed to the erosion of workplace friendships. Many people used to meet their closest friends at work. Now, work is just a Zoom window that closes at 5 p.m. 4. Decline of third places. Sociologist Ray Oldenburg coined the term third places, spaces that aren't home, first place, or work, second place, where community naturally forms. Think local cafes, community centers, churches, parks. These spaces are disappearing or becoming less accessible, taking with them the organic opportunities for connection. 5. Mental health stigma. Despite progress, many Americans still feel ashamed to admit they're lonely. This shame prevents people from reaching out, creating a vicious cycle where loneliness breeds more loneliness. The impact. The consequences of this loneliness epidemic are devastating. Physical health. Chronic loneliness increases the risk of heart disease by 29%, stroke by 32%, and dementia by 50%. It suppresses immune function and accelerates aging. Mental health. Loneliness is strongly correlated with depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation. The suicide rate in the U.S. has increased by 35% since 2000. Economic costs. Loneliness costs the U.S. economy an estimated $406 billion annually in healthcare costs and lost productivity. Social fabric. As people become more isolated, civic engagement declines, trust erodes, and society becomes more polarized. The solution roadmap. Now, here's the good news: loneliness is solvable. It requires intentional action, but the path forward exists. Strategy 1: Quality over quantity. Stop collecting acquaintances and start cultivating friendships. Research shows that having just 3 to 5 close friends who you can be vulnerable with is more beneficial than having 100 casual connections. Action steps. Identify 2 to 3 people you'd like to deepen your relationship with. Reach out with a specific invitation, not just, "we should hang out sometime." Schedule regular, recurring meetups, monthly dinners, weekly walks, whatever works. Practice vulnerability. Share something real about your life, not just highlights. Strategy 2: Join something bigger. Find a community that shares your interests or values. This gives you both connection and purpose. Action steps. Join a local club, sports team, volunteer organization, or faith community. Commit to showing up consistently. Relationships need repetition to form. Say yes to social invitations, even when you don't feel like it, especially then. Consider hobby-based communities. Book clubs, running groups, board game meetups. Strategy 3: Digital detox and real-world presence. Reduce time spent on social media and increase time in face-to-face interactions. Action steps. Set specific social media time limits. Most phones have this feature. Implement phone-free times during meals, before bed, first hour after waking. Replace 30 minutes of scrolling daily with a real-world activity. When you do use social media, use it to facilitate real meetups, not replace them. Strategy 4: Become a community builder. Don't wait for others to include you. create the community you're seeking. Action steps. Host a monthly potluck dinner. Organize a neighborhood cleanup day. Start a walking group in your area. Create a WhatsApp group for your apartment building or street. Be the person who introduces people to each other. Strategy 5. Professional help when needed. Sometimes loneliness is intertwined with depression or anxiety that requires professional support. Action steps. Consider therapy. Many therapists now specialize in loneliness and connection issues. Look into group therapy, which offers both professional guidance and peer connection. Explore apps like BetterHelp or Talkspace for accessible mental health support. Check if your employer offers employee assistance programs, EAPs, with free counseling. Real-life example number 2, Marcus's transformation. Marcus, a 42-year-old software engineer in Austin, Texas, realized he'd spent the last 3 years basically alone after his divorce. His only social interactions were work meetings and brief exchanges with the grocery store cashier. One day, he made a decision: he'd join one new thing every month for 6 months. First month, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu class. He'd always been curious. Second month, a volunteer organization building homes with Habitat for Humanity. Third month, a chess club at the local library. By month 4, Marcus had found his people at the jiu-jitsu gym. The shared struggle of learning something difficult created bonds. Training partners became friends. Friends became family. A year later, Marcus had a standing Sunday brunch group, training partners he saw 3 times a week, and had even started dating someone he met through a friend from the gym. Marcus's approach worked because he combined several strategies. Trying new things, showing up consistently, being open to connection, and choosing activities that naturally fostered community. Crisis number 2, the debt crisis, drowning in financial quicksand. The problem. Americans are drowning in debt at unprecedented levels. The total household debt in the United States has surpassed $17 trillion, that's trillion with a T. To put that in perspective, if you stacked $17 trillion in $100 bills, it would reach about 11,600 miles high, beyond the International Space Station. Let's break down the numbers. Average credit card debt per household, $6,501. Average student loan debt, $37,338. Average auto loan debt, $23,792. Average mortgage debt, $220,380. More alarmingly, 40% of Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency expense without borrowing money or selling something. Think about that: a flat tire, a broken phone, a minor medical bill could send millions of Americans into financial crisis. Credit card delinquency rates are rising, student loan defaults are increasing, and medical debt continues to be the leading cause of bankruptcy in America. This isn't just a financial problem, it's a crisis that affects mental health, relationships, life choices, and overall well-being. Analysis: how did we get here? 1. Stagnant wages, rising costs. While the cost of housing, healthcare, and education has skyrocketed over the past 40 years, wages haven't kept pace. In real terms, adjusted for inflation, the average worker's purchasing power has barely increased since the 1970s. A typical home now costs 5 to 7 times the median annual income, compared to 2 to 3 times in the 1970s. College tuition has increased by over 1,200% since 1980, while wages have increased by only about 67%. 2. The credit culture. America has normalized debt. Credit cards are marketed as lifestyle tools rather than financial instruments. By now, pay later schemes are everywhere. The message is constant: you deserve this now, worry about payment later. 3. Student loan trap. An entire generation was told that college was the only path to success, so they took on massive student loans. Many graduated into a recession with degrees that didn't lead to high-paying jobs, but the loans remained. 4. Medical debt. The U.S. healthcare system is uniquely expensive. Even with insurance, a serious illness or accident can result in tens of thousands of dollars in bills. Medical debt affects over 40 million Americans. 5. Financial illiteracy. Most Americans received little to no financial education in school. They don't understand compound interest, the true cost of debt, or how to build wealth. This knowledge gap leads to costly mistakes. 6. Lifestyle inflation and social pressure. Social media has amplified the pressure to keep up appearances. Seeing friends' vacations, new cars, and perfect homes creates a sense that you should have those things too, often leading to debt-financed consumption. The impact. The consequences of this debt crisis ripple through every aspect of life. Stress and mental health. Financial stress is the leading cause of anxiety in America. People with high debt levels report significantly higher rates of depression and anxiety. Delayed life milestones. Young adults are delaying marriage, home buying, and having children due to debt burdens, particularly student loans. Trapped in jobs. Many people stay in jobs they hate because they can't afford to quit. Debt removes freedom and choice. Relationship strain. Financial problems are one of the top causes of divorce and relationship conflict. Retirement crisis. Americans buried in debt can't save for retirement. 50% of households aged 55 plus have no retirement savings. The solution roadmap. Getting out of debt and building financial security is absolutely possible. It requires a plan, discipline, and time, but the freedom on the other side is worth it. Strategy 1. Face the reality. You can't fix what you won't acknowledge. The first step is getting completely honest about your financial situation. Action steps. List every single debt you have, balance, interest rate, minimum payment. Calculate your total monthly income after taxes. Track every expense for 30 days, yes, every coffee, every subscription, everything. Calculate your net worth, assets minus liabilities. Face the numbers without judgment, this is just information. Strategy 2. Create a zero-based budget. Every dollar needs a job. This means giving every dollar of income a specific purpose before the month begins. Action steps. Use the 50/30/20 rule as a starting point. 50% needs, 30% wants, 20% savings/debt. Adjust percentages based on your situation. If you have high debt, shift more to repayment. Use budgeting apps like Enab, You Need a Budget, Mint, or EveryDollar. Review and adjust your budget monthly. Build in a small, fun money category to avoid feeling deprived. Strategy 3. Attack debt strategically. Two main approaches exist: debt snowball and debt avalanche. Debt snowball method, behavioral approach. List debt smallest to largest. Pay minimums on everything except the smallest debt. Attack the smallest debt with all extra money. When paid off, roll that payment to the next smallest. Advantage: quick wins build motivation. Debt avalanche method, mathematical approach. List debts by interest rate, highest to lowest. Pay minimums on everything except the highest rate debt. Attack the highest rate debt with all extra money. When paid off, roll that payment to the next highest rate. Advantage: saves the most money in interest. Choose the method that matches your personality. Snowball works better for people who need motivation from quick wins. Avalanche works better for people motivated by mathematical efficiency. Action steps. Choose your approach. Find $200 to $500 in your budget to throw at debt, cut subscriptions, reduce eating out, etc. Set up automatic payments so you don't have to rely on willpower. Celebrate small victories. Paid off a card? Acknowledge it. Strategy 4. Build an emergency fund. This prevents new debt from accumulating when life happens. Action steps. Start with $1,000 as a mini emergency fund. Once that's done, work toward 3 to 6 months of expenses. Keep this money in a high-yield savings account, separate from your checking. Only use for true emergencies, job loss, medical, urgent repairs, not concert tickets. Replenish immediately if used. Strategy 5. Increase income. Sometimes the math just doesn't work with current income. The solution is to earn more. Action steps. Ask for a raise at your current job, research market rates first. Develop a valuable skill that increases your marketability. Start a side hustle. Freelancing, tutoring, consulting, driving for Uber, selling on Etsy. Sell items you don't need or use. Take on overtime if available. Turn a hobby into income. Strategy 6. Negotiate and reduce interest rates. You have more power than you think. Action steps. Call credit card companies and ask for lower rates. It works more often than you'd think. Consider balance transfer cards with 0% intro APR. Be careful with fees and pay off before intro period ends. Look into debt consolidation loans if you have good credit. For student loans, research income-driven repayment plans or refinancing options. Negotiate medical bills. Hospitals often have financial assistance programs or will accept payment plans. Strategy 7. Change your money mindset. Long-term success requires changing your relationship with money. Action steps. Stop comparing yourself to others. Their highlight reel isn't reality. Unsubscribe from marketing emails that tempt you to spend. Implement a 48-hour rule. Wait 48 hours before any non-essential purchase over $50. Practice gratitude for what you have. Educate yourself. Read books like The Total Money Makeover, Your Money or Your Life, or I Will Teach You to Be Rich. Crisis number 3, Psychological Disconnect, the Mental Health Emergency. The problem. America is experiencing a mental health crisis of staggering proportions. The psychological disconnect, from reality, from purpose, from meaning, from hope, is perhaps the most dangerous of these three crises because it underlies and exacerbates the others. The statistics are alarming. 1 in 5 Americans experiences mental illness each year. Depression rates have tripled since the COVID-19 pandemic. Anxiety disorders affect 40 million adults. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the U.S., claiming over 48,000 lives annually. Youth mental health is in especially dire straits, with 42% of high school students reporting persistent feelings of sadness or hopelessness. But beyond diagnosed mental illness, there's a broader psychological disconnect, a sense of meaninglessness, purposelessness, and hopelessness. People are going through the motions of life without feeling truly alive. They're successful on paper but empty inside. They're connected digitally but disconnected from themselves and reality. This crisis manifests in multiple ways: addiction to substances, screens, work, escapism, gaming, binge-watching, doom-scrolling, apathy, nihilism, and a pervasive sense that nothing matters. Analysis. Why is this crisis deepening? 1. Information overload and news exhaustion. We're exposed to more information in a day than our ancestors encountered in a lifetime. Our brains weren't designed for this. The constant stream of news, much of it negative, polarizing, and fear-inducing, creates psychological overwhelm. The 24-hour news cycle and social media algorithms prioritize engagement over truth, anger over understanding. This keeps us in a perpetual state of stress and outrage. 2. Loss of meaning and purpose. Traditional sources of meaning, religion, community, family, clear life scripts, have declined without being replaced by equally robust alternatives. Many Americans are left wondering, what's the point? What am I here for? The philosopher Viktor Frankl argued that humans need meaning more than happiness. When meaning disappears, psychological distress follows. 3. Comparison culture. Social media has turned everyone's life into a performance. We constantly compare our behind-the-scenes reality to everyone else's highlight reel. This breeds inadequacy, envy, and a sense that we're failing at life. Research shows that time spent on social media correlates strongly with depression and anxiety, especially among young people. 4. Future anxiety. Climate change, political instability, economic uncertainty, technological displacement. Young people in particular feel they're inheriting a broken world with diminishing opportunities. This breeds existential anxiety and hopelessness. 5. Disconnection from nature and physical reality. Humans evolved in nature, moving our bodies, engaging with the physical world. Now we spend most of our time indoors, sitting, staring at screens. This disconnect from our evolutionary environment affects psychological well-being. 6. Stigma and access barriers. Despite progress, mental health stigma remains. Many people won't seek help because they're ashamed or afraid of being seen as weak. Additionally, mental health care is expensive and hard to access. There's a severe shortage of mental health professionals, and insurance often provides inadequate coverage. The impact. The psychological disconnect affects everything. Individuals suffering, millions of Americans wake up each day feeling hopeless, anxious, or numb. They're not living, they're surviving. Physical health. Mental and physical health are inseparable. Depression and anxiety contribute to heart disease, weakened immune function, and chronic inflammation. Relationships. When you're psychologically disconnected, you struggle to form genuine connections with others, perpetuating the loneliness epidemic. Productivity and purpose. People who feel psychologically disconnected struggle to find motivation, pursue goals, or contribute meaningfully to society. Societal polarization. When people feel lost and afraid, they're more susceptible to extreme ideologies, conspiracy theories, and tribal thinking. The solution roadmap. Healing psychological disconnect requires a multifaceted approach. No single solution works for everyone, but there are proven strategies. Strategy 1. Seek professional help. Therapy isn't a sign of weakness, it's a tool for growth and healing. Just as you'd see a doctor for a broken bone, you should see a mental health professional for psychological distress. Action steps. Research therapists in your area. Psychology Today has a good directory. Consider different modalities. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, dialectical behavior therapy, DBT, psychodynamic therapy, EMDR for trauma. Try teletherapy platforms like BetterHelp, Talkspace, or Cerebral if local access is limited. Give it time. Finding the right therapist may take a few tries. If finances are a concern, look for sliding scale therapists, community mental health centers, or university training clinics. Strategy 2. Reconnect with your body. The mind-body connection is powerful. Physical movement affects psychological state. Action steps. Exercise regularly. Even 20 minutes of walking daily can significantly reduce depression and anxiety. Try yoga, which combines movement, breath work, and mindfulness. Spend time in nature, forest bathing, hiking, or simply sitting in a park. Practice deep breathing exercises, box breathing. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. Reduce screen time, especially before bed. Prioritize sleep. 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep is crucial for mental health. Strategy 3. Cultivate meaning and purpose. Create a life worth living by identifying what matters to you. Action steps. Reflect on your values. What's truly important to you? What would you want said at your funeral? Find something larger than yourself to contribute to: volunteer work, activism, mentoring. Set meaningful goals aligned with your values, not society's expectations. Practice gratitude daily. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Engage in creative expression. write, paint, make music, build something. Consider reading books like Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl or The Second Mountain by David Brooks. Strategy 4. Manage information consumption. Protect your psychological environment as carefully as you'd protect your physical home. Action steps. Set strict boundaries on news consumption, maybe 30 minutes daily, from trusted sources. Curate your social media feeds ruthlessly, unfollow accounts that make you feel bad. Take regular digital Sabbaths, 1 day per week completely off screens. Replace doom scrolling with something meaningful, read a book, call a friend, take a walk. Be selective about what you allow into your mind. Strategy 5. Build resilience through practice. Psychological resilience is a skill that can be developed. Action steps. Practice mindfulness meditation, even 10 minutes daily makes a difference. Apps. Headspace, Calm, Insight Timer. Develop a growth mindset, view challenges as opportunities for growth, not threats. Practice self-compassion, treat yourself with the kindness you'd show a good friend. Build distress tolerance, learn to sit with uncomfortable emotions without immediately escaping. Create a self-care toolkit, list of healthy coping strategies to use when struggling. Strategy 6. Medication when appropriate. Sometimes neurochemistry needs support. Medication isn't a failure. It's a tool. Action steps. Consult with a psychiatrist if symptoms are severe or persistent. Be patient, finding the right medication and dosage takes time. Combine medication with therapy for best results. Don't stop medication without medical supervision. Remember, mental illness is a medical condition, not a character flaw. Strategy 7. Connect with community. Healing happens in community, not isolation. Action steps. Join a support group for what you're going through, NAMI, AA, grief groups, etc. Consider group therapy, healing with others who understand. Engage in community activities that provide both connection and purpose. Be open about your struggles, vulnerability invites connection. Remember, you're not alone, even though it feels that way. Conclusion, from crisis to opportunity. These 3 crises, loneliness, debt, and psychological disconnect, are deeply interconnected. Loneliness breeds depression. Financial stress exacerbates mental health problems. Psychological disconnect makes it harder to form connections and make good financial decisions. They feed on each other, creating a downward spiral. But here's the profound truth: the path out is also interconnected. When you address one crisis, you create momentum for addressing the others. Joining a community to combat loneliness might lead to friendships with people who share financial wisdom. Getting your finances under control reduces stress, improving mental health. Addressing psychological disconnect gives you the clarity and energy to rebuild relationships and manage money better. The United States is facing these crises, but individuals, families, and communities can choose a different path. The roadmap exists. The solutions work. What's required is awareness, intention, and action. You are not powerless. You are not alone. And these crises, as daunting as they are, can be overcome, one decision, one day, one connection at a time. Call to action. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 3 crises resonates most with your experience? Are you dealing with loneliness, financial stress, psychological disconnect, or maybe all 3? What strategies have you tried, and what's worked for you? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Remember, by sharing honestly, you're not only helping others, you're also taking a step toward healing yourself. If you found this video valuable, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're building a community here of people who care about real issues and real solutions. Share this with someone who might need it. You never know whose life you might change. And if you want to dive deeper into any of these topics, check out the links in the description below. I've included resources for finding therapists, financial planning tools, support groups, and more. Thank you for watching. Remember, these crises may be growing, but so is the movement of people choosing to face them head-on. You're part of that movement now. Let's build a better future together.